Hey, Millionaire University family. As a mom and entrepreneur, I know firsthand the struggle of juggling business goals and personal health. Let's be real. How many times have you grabbed fast food or skipped meals because you're too busy chasing that next big idea? If you're someone who values both time and health, Factor is a game changer. Gourmet, nutritionist-approved meals ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess, and absolutely no guilt. Factor isn't just another meal service. With options like Keto, Protein Plus, and Calorie Smart, you're fueling your body for peak performance. Sacrificing health for success is a false economy. Time is money, but health is wealth. With Factor, you're not just saving time, you're optimizing it. Want to join in on this game-changing approach to nutrition? Head to factormeals.com/MU50 and use code MU50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code MU50 at factormeals.com/MU50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Who wants a money machine? On October 1st, 2024, we will be launching the first ever Millionaire University program, teaching you how to build your own 7-figure business.
We don't think of a business as a business per se. We think of it more like a money machine, where every dollar you put in, you get $2, $3, $4 back.
Most successful business owners can identify thousands of business opportunities and execute on any one of them to create a 7-figure business within 3 to 5 years, time and time again.
Truth is, they don't have anything you don't. Trust us, we know. So if they can do it, why not you?
The purpose of the Build My Money Machine program is to empower you to be able to do the same thing. So take advantage of the Millionaire University Founders Special and go to buildmymoneymachine.com now to sign up and get 90% off the regular price. Once again, that's buildmymoneymachine.com. And we'll see you October 1st.
Most people who franchise their business are good at whatever their business is. They have no idea how to franchise. And as I said earlier, franchising is a different business.
Welcome to the Millionaire University podcast. I'm your host, Brien Gearin, back in the saddle with you today. And on this edition of the MU Pod, I'm joined by Aaron Harper. He's the owner and CEO of Rolling Suds, America's first and largest power washing franchise. He's grown it to nearly 207 locations, guys. 207 locations in 27 states in less than 2 years, which is insane. And Aaron, I understand your ultimate goal is to become the 1-800-GOT-JUNK of power washing. Super ambitious, and I love it. Aaron, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be on and chat with you today.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this interview for a while now because I've been following you on LinkedIn, and ever since I found you there and got a semi-intro from a mutual friend of ours, I've just been eating up your stuff, your content on LinkedIn. I love it. It's super encouraging and super cool to see all the growth happening in real time. It's like every other day you got a new franchise popping up, and your guys are like landing deals before they're even done with training. So really cool to see. And today I want to learn all about Rolling Suds. I want to know how you started it, how you got into it, why power washing, and then we're going to do a bit of a deep dive on how franchising can be an incredible opportunity for those who want to get into entrepreneurship. So, Aaron, let's kick it off right there. Where did you come from? How did you get into power washing?
It's so funny. Like I'm like the least handy person you'll ever meet, but my niche in the franchise industry is home and residential commercial service companies. But I grew up in Southern California and thought I wanted to be kind of a Hollywood agent, producer kind of type. So I studied film. I went to Hollywood. I worked for some crazy, insane people in the Hollywood industry, working alongside with Academy Award winning actors and writers and directors. And then after about 5 years in doing that, I was like, I don't want anything that these people have. And I don't look up to any of my bosses or want any of the outcomes that they have. And I was like, okay, I need to kind of figure something else out. I had a buddy of mine who I went to college with, and after that I was in a B2B sales role in the telecommunications space. And he's like, Aaron, you need to be making more money. And I'm like, I'm listening. He's like, you should get into franchise development. And I was like, what's that? Like many of probably your listeners and most people I talk to, people hear the word franchise and they think McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, and they don't, or at least I didn't know that there's this whole world of service businesses that you can buy a franchise for considerably less than a 7-Eleven or a McDonald's or a Wendy's, have higher margins comparatively, have something that's easier to scale, and have the support of a franchisor. And so I loved the idea of helping people become business owners. Like I thought that was just such a cool thing to be able to say that you did every day. And so I emailed his boss every 3 weeks for 6 months until he hired me. And I didn't have any experience in franchising. So his reluctance was, you don't have any experience in selling franchises. And I convinced him that I could do it. So I started working for a carpet cleaning brand called ChemDry, which has been around a long time. While I was with that company, we added about 200 locations in 3 years. I added 200 locations in 3 years. And that business was acquired by a portfolio of service brands, which at the time had 3 brands. So that was in 2019. They basically were private equity backed, and they told my leadership team, hey, like, we'll give you unlimited capital basically to go buy other businesses. And they bought a drywall repair brand called the Patch Boys, which was a niche kind of residential drywall repair company, first to market in the franchise space for drywall repair. But that business was effectively a turnaround. So we bought it from the founder exited. There was a lot of work to be done. It was the middle of COVID. We hired a brand president, and him and I built systems around everything that the franchisees needed: marketing, training, recruiting, scaling the business, financials, like everything. The first franchisee that we launched was profitable his first month with a 30% margin, had a full-time skilled laborer, hired prior to going to training, had to hire another guy 2 weeks in because he was too busy. And so it was awesome. It was a great experience. So I felt we were prepared to grow that company. And so from October of 2020 to October of 2022, so almost exactly 24 months, I added 223 locations to that business. We were the 13th fastest growing franchise brand in the world, according to Entrepreneur Magazine, and we became the largest drywall repair company in the world. So we had also grown the portfolio of service brands from 3 brands to now 12 during that time. And they said, hey, Aaron, we're going to buy a 13th business at the end of the year. We love what you've done with these other 2 brands. We want to actually promote you, double your salary, and give you a title with the word president in it. And if you just do what you've done the last X number of years, you could probably make about $1 million a year doing this.
Wow.
And I was like, I can do this on my own. I could find a business that's non-franchised. I could partner with the founders. I could raise capital. I could build that business into becoming the biggest brand in the world in whichever industry I decide. So with a wife that was 6.5 months pregnant at the time, I turned down what would have been close to $1 million a year. And I went out across the country to try to find a business that I could franchise. I looked at roofing and plumbing and electrical and solar and insulation, lawn care, tree care, line striping, epoxy coatings, garages. And I met the founders of Rolling Suds in September of 2022. I was still a W-2 employee, and I left that job in October of that year. We finalized the transaction for me to acquire the brand in January of last year. And I raised a significant amount of capital from franchise legends. So not like private equity money, like mentors of mine who could provide intellectual capital in addition to actual capital. And we finalized that in January, took the brand to market in February of last year. We've been super selective, turning away over 75 people that had the capital and weren't right for our system. And we've since signed up 57 franchisees who've purchased 207 territories in 27 states. And we've done that since February of 2023. And it's September of 2024. Wow. So it's been a wild ride.
Holy smokes. Well, and I don't want to gloss over the fact that you were offered a job, a cushy job, making $1 million at something you knew how to do. You knew what you were good at. You were going to earn that money easily. And like a super badass, you say, no, thanks. I'm going to go do it myself. Thank you. And now look at you, in less than 2 years, 207 locations. That's incredible.
Thank you. I mean, I was always taught that the job was the safe way to go, get a paycheck, this and that. I think that COVID taught a lot of people that it's not. I think that was a pretty illuminating experience for a lot of W-2 employees. And I think we've seen a surge in entrepreneurship as a result, to be honest with you. I think there's a generational piece to that as well. Just the generation under us is like, we're not going to go work for anyone. But I do think that even some older folks in Gen X that are like, wait, I just spent 20 years of my life working in software sales and I was let go 3 months into COVID because they couldn't afford payroll anymore, made people really start to think about, why don't I go either buy a business or start a business? And then you've got people like Cody Sanchez who kind of promote this idea of like true ownership. And we've seen this shift, I feel like, in a way that I hadn't seen before. And it's been great for franchising. But the idea of a safe W-2 job it's not the case. I mean, at any point in time, you're replaceable. And owning a business is much different. There's a lot more risk associated with it because you're putting your money on the line, but your time's more valuable than your money. And if you're giving a business your time, then that business is making a margin on your efforts.
And I think you and I are very similar in this thought process where, tell me if you agree, it's a bigger risk to me to go take the safe route, I'm throwing up air quotes for those listening to us, the safe route, because you have no control over what's going to happen to your livelihood. Even I've had friends, they feel the safest in their position and they're let go. Just one day they're done. And there's no safety net. To me, that's riskier than going out and being an entrepreneur, investing in yourself, investing your own funds, and getting a little crazy, stepping outside the box. That's, to me, a safer, less risky route, even though the traditional thought process and mindset is the complete opposite.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, the other thing that I'll say for those who are working a job currently is like, there's only so much professional development and like that you can get in an organization. And really, it depends upon the growth of that organization. Whereas if you run your company depends on your ability to adapt and grow as an individual. And like the opportunity to do that has been incredibly rewarding. Like the business a year ago needed a different version of me than I am today. And so in order for the business to grow, I've had to grow into that person. And that's not something I'm going to get as a W-2 employee in a role going from vice president to president to COO to CEO. Like it's not the same.
Right. Forces you to stay on your toes. And when you know that your livelihood, your family, and the people that work for you rely on that from you, it's a heck of a motivator.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So I want to talk, why Power Wash? I know you said you kind of canvassed the country. You're looking for businesses. What was it about power washing where you're like, that right there, I got to do this?
So I had a checklist. So for anyone who has either bought a business before or is considering buying a business, I would recommend getting a checklist of things that you're looking for. So for me, it was less about the industry and more about how many boxes of the checklist does it check. And then, because I can franchise any industry. Franchising, I think for those who maybe this is the first they're hearing about it, franchising is a different business than power washing. Franchising is a different business than McDonald's. Like the actual business of like franchising is systemizing processes and starting a business that starts businesses, because that's what a franchise is. And so I needed someone that knew power washing or whatever the widget is, whether it was installation or whatever, better than anyone else. So I needed to find that person so that I could do what I'm good at, which is build a franchise system. And so first and foremost for me, it's always people first. And so the founders of Rolling Suds are incredible humans, just real salt of the earth people. They started this business 34 years ago. Brien Jr.'s dad started it 2 years later, had his son. He was on the truck for the first 13 years. His wife was in the office with their 2 kids in the office, like answering phones, and they tinkered and tweaked and tried different things and constantly innovated until they figured out a process that was better than any other power washer, equipment better, all that kind of stuff. And then once I realized that these are the people I wanted to partner with, at that point it was, okay, how many boxes does it check? And so I wanted something that had a fragmented industry. So the more fragmented the market is, the easier it is to disrupt. So, and what I mean by that, just to be even more explicit, is there's a bunch of local mom and pops. And if there's the more local mom and pops, the easier it is to stand out as a sophisticated organization. And the power washing industry as a whole is the majority of it is the person who does the power washing themselves, knocking on doors, cleaning driveways and stuff like that. I wanted something also that had a big total addressable market. So you're always looking at market conditions as well. Like how many customers are there in a condensed period, in a condensed area, and what types of customers are there? And so both the residential and the commercial side. Now, Rolling Suds is majority commercial, about 60% commercial business. I really like that because of the recurring element and the contracts and the potential stabilization of cash flow once the business reaches a certain size. Needed something that was niche. You've heard people say the riches are in the niches. The more services that a business offers, the harder that business is to scale because training becomes a challenge. It's also harder for the consumer to know you as one thing. Marketing costs more because you can't be super specific. There's a ton of reasons why niche businesses work really well. And all we do is residential and commercial power washing. And we don't do anything else. And we do it better than anyone else. I wanted something that was recession resistant. We've heard, I'm tired of hearing that we're going through a recession, to be honest with you. I've been hearing it since like 2022, maybe even before then. But if a recession were to occur, is the business going to still exist? And so this business has been around 34 years. They've been through pandemics, recessions, droughts, whatever it is, and it's continued to grow. What else was on my list? High margins. So above 25% EBITDA for the franchisee after we've gotten our royalty. So it's both incredibly attractive to the franchisee and then attractive to me as a franchisor, so everyone can make good amounts of money. There were two, and then I also wanted something that was scalable. So if you own a med spa, it's going to cost a lot of money to build another med spa, right? So scalability is high cash requirements or high debt. Whereas with Rolling Suds, like you can put a down payment on a truck for 35 grand and your payment's around $2,000 a month. And now you have another location on the road with that truck, with 2 guys working on the truck. So like from a scalability standpoint, you can get to 8 trucks, let's just say, with the same cost that it would cost to build out a med spa or a massage envy or whatever it is. One other thing, unskilled labor. The more skilled the labor is, the harder it is to scale as well, because you can't train someone to do HVAC, for example. Like you have to find a technician who has that experience, and that's hard to find. And so with us, like we can teach someone to do our work within 2 to 3 days, like easy, fast. And the 2 nice to haves on my list that I couldn't find anywhere else other than Rolling Suds was little to no competition in the franchise space. So when you think about fragmentation, there are typically in all the other brands that I looked at, 5 to 10 other franchise brands doing the same thing with a different logo. So there had already been established players, which it's fine. I could have captured market share from established players, but it's a lot easier to establish and capture market share from more fragmented markets. So we are doing now to the power washing industry what 1-800-GOT-JUNK did to the junk business in the early 2000s. We're just professionalizing it one market at a time. And inevitably kind of copycat power washers will follow and try to ride the wave of what we've built. But we will have already captured so much market share. Like, again, to give another example, like 1-800-GOT-JUNK is $1 billion system-wide sales company. And they did that in 20 years. They paved the way for College Hunks, Junk King, Junk Luggers, J-Dog Junk. But if you combine the size of all of those brands, 1-800-GOT-JUNK is bigger than all of them. And I do believe that it is a first-to-market thing. They were able to capture national accounts as a result because there was no one else there. And then the final thing that was like a nice to have, but not a need to have, was a difference in product offering. So you hear a lot about people talking about a moat, and not every business is going to have a moat. The moat is just we provide a better experience to the customer. Well, the founders of Rolling Suds have perfected a proprietary truck and a proprietary process and proprietary equipment after 34 years of doing this. So we can do a 3,000 square foot house in 20 minutes, start to finish.
Wow.
It's wild.
So 3,000 square feet basically can wash the entire exterior in 20 minutes.
Set up, tear down, everything.
So this isn't a franchise. This isn't locations with 15 F-150s with power washers and a couple dudes. This is a legit kind of like, in my mind, I'm thinking like those big stone thrower trucks or like a sewer sucker truck. It's got a huge tank. It's got a gun. Explain to our listeners, what does a Rolling Suds truck look like? What's it equipped? I know some of it's proprietary, but what's it look like?
Well, no, yeah. So it's a 16-foot box truck, totally fully wrapped. So it's a driving billboard.
Right.
Inside, we've got 1,000 gallons of liquid. both chemical and just water. We've got either 2 or 3 machines per truck. We can hit 4 to 5 stories from the ground.
From the ground?
From the ground. It's insane. Like if we're washing a house and the house next door sets on fire, like we can put that house out. We can put the fire out with our trucks.
Wow.
It's insane. And so when you think about like a moat, if you go to a commercial customer, like we just had a franchisee who put almost a 7-figure contract for overpasses in Florida. And so we're talking like full blown annual cleaning of overpasses, which will require multiple trucks to do these jobs. And we can handle that. And your local guy that has a $300 machine and does $99 driveways, like that's just not even someone we're competing with. Like we're operating on a completely different level. And then we have anything above 5 stories, we have drones that we can send out to clean those.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you have drones with power washers on them? Well, so is this different? You said you mentioned you have chemicals in there. Is this kind of like where, because you can't get the power of a 3-inch away power washer like you would on a driveway 5 stories up. Is this kind of like, are you guys loaded up with like a wet and forget product that like removes the dirt, or is there enough power on that thing to get there?
So there is enough power on the thing to get there if we needed to. However, really you don't need a ton of pressure to do most jobs because you're going to do a version of soft washing, which is using a cleaning solution mixture with water that does a lot of the work for you. And a lot of power washers don't power wash properly. They do get 3 inches away from siding and they go like this and kind of, but all they're doing at that point, it's the difference between like cutting your grass and killing it.
Kind of a big difference.
Yeah. So they're just cutting the grass and it comes back 6 months later, the algae, the mold, the mildew, whatever it is that's on the side of that building. And with the right solutions and the right process, you can kill it so it doesn't come back, or at least doesn't for quite some time. And so we're doing a process that is more effective and faster and more efficient than every other power washer out there.
Millionaire University, here's your market alert. High interest rates are shaking up the real estate world, and our sponsor, Fundrise, is making moves. Their flagship fund is planning to capitalize on falling property prices, aiming to snag high-quality assets at a discount. It's a classic wealth-building strategy. Buy when others are hesitating. Here's the kicker. You can join with as little as $10. That's right. Fundrise is opening doors to real estate investing that were once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. Intrigued? Head to fundrise.com/MU. That's fundrise.com/MU. Remember, Millionaire University students, building wealth isn't just about earning. It's about making your money work for you. And that's exactly what Fundrise aims to help you do with real estate. As always, smart millionaires do their homework, so check it out and see if it fits your financial game plan. Carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Fundrise Flagship Fund before investing. This and other information can be found in the fund's prospectus at fundrise.com/flagship. This is a paid advertisement.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Wow. And this, you bought into this, or you bought this company. So this was, I just want to paint a picture of, these were things that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you didn't have to go think of or go brainstorm or go create. The folks at this company had created this over 34 years of experience, and it was already done. It was there. It was just waiting for someone like you to blow it up.
Correct. Yeah. They had already figured it all out. I just packaged it and built a team that does the knowledge transfer to franchisees so that they can buy in to that 34 years of knowledge, really in a lot of the same way that I did. I mean, I acquired the brand. I wasn't looking to start a power washing company from scratch. Like, I wanted to say, okay, what are you doing? What is the equipment that you use? How much is it going to cost a franchisee? How do we package this up so that we can get franchisees launched? And they have been blown away by this. Like, this is beyond their wildest dreams.
Wow. Okay, so let's dive right in there. What does it look like to franchise with you? What's it cost to get in, and what's the process?
Yeah. So first, there's an approval process to make sure we're all the right fit for each other. I think before we talk about costs, we need to talk about what is the right fit. We're looking for franchisees who want to build big businesses, like not $500 to $1 million annual revenue. Like the franchisees we're bringing in are like, Aaron, we're going to max out these territories, get as many trucks as possible in them. And then we're going to look to roll up either other power washers or other franchisees. And so they're bigger thinkers. They want to scale. They have kind of a risk tolerance that's pretty high. We're newer, so we don't have a ton of data yet. So there's a lot of upside, but there is more risk in the sense that I can't tell someone, hey, if you buy and then in average 3 years, you'll make this amount. Like, I just don't have it yet. And so we're bringing in people who are generally more entrepreneurial than like the franchisee number 50 is completely different than franchisee number 150 in terms of their risk tolerance. We're looking for people who are comfortable in their communities, developing relationships and being in front of people. Our mission statement is, this is a relationship, because a lot of the commercial work that we do is dependent upon the relationships that you have in your community. Because the $20,000 parking garage, like they're not just typing power washing near me into Google and choosing one of them. Like they're asking their friends and their family if they know someone and if they used them before. And so we've signed up like 13 different former C-level executives. We've signed up a professional poker player. Some of our franchisees have had multiple exits. Some of them manage other multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're bolting this on. We're signing up a guy next week who just got a $300 million line of credit to buy commercial real estate across the country. And he's bolting this on. Like, we're bringing in like higher level operators, which is really exciting for the people who do buy in, because to be part of that community is incredibly valuable. It's almost worth the cost of admission alone, because everyone is able to help each other out. So it's about $300,000 is what franchisees need to have for kind of 2 trucks and 2 territories. And then some working capital in addition to that. Now we have SBA loan options and kind of packages that franchisees can do to seek out additional capital, net worth of at least $800,000 or $900,000. And a lot of our franchisees will exceed that. It just depends upon how big they want to grow. We have a franchisee who's signing up next week, and they had like 6 or 7 Planet Fitnesses. They exited those. Then they bought like 4 or 5 car washes. They exited those. So they're putting about $1 million into this. They're coming in right out the gate with a couple business development reps, a door-to-door person, like full-blown going at it hard. So we're really thinking about those kind of like long-term partners. The franchisee who works, $150,000 job and needs to replace their income year one with their business, like that's just not our buyer. It's going to be hard to do that. And if you need to draw $150,000 out of the business year one, it's going to be really hard to get it to $3 or $4 million, which is where a lot of our franchisees are shooting. That's what a lot of them are shooting for, and then some.
Wow. So I know you guys are young. What are the margins looking like for a typical or your average location?
So it largely depends upon how much commercial work they're doing. Commercial work has higher margins. It has a longer accounts receivable cycle than residential, but they're typically operating within the 30-ish% EBITDA range. So net margin before taxes and depreciation and that kind of stuff.
Okay. And can you define, like, I know the difference between commercial and residential. Residential, you live in your house and you have someone come power wash. You say commercial is the higher portion of your business. Is this like, you've mentioned like highway overpasses, so maybe a Department of Transportation might be a client, or is it office buildings? Like, what does a commercial client necessarily entail, and how often do they need your service?
So some of the different avatars that we service would be parking garages, tennis courts, office buildings, fast food restaurants, gas stations, warehouses. We've cleaned 135-foot water towers before, overpasses. Like, if you think about it, if you really boil it down to like every surface of an exterior of a structure has to be cleaned at some point and at some cadence. And there are very few sophisticated operators in this industry that can service those types of jobs at scale. And so we step into these markets and we capture market share very quickly. Some of these, like we do a lot of HOA work, for example. Like the HOA either has to do it themselves or they require that the homeowners do it. And if they don't do it, they get fined, right? So like that is a customer that needs to be serviced X number of times, X number of years, whatever it is. And so as long as we come in and do a good job for those folks, like they don't want to ever hire anyone else, which is where you see that consistency in cash flow come from. But yeah, I mean, every single structure has to be cleaned.
That's true. Can't get around it. So
Yeah.
let's say I put down the 300K, I'm all invested, I'm all in. What's the process look like of taking me from investor to franchisee?
So there's about a 9-week ramp up process. We call it our power launch program. So it's a combination of like getting your logistics handled and then also learning the business. And so we have an entire online learning portal with videos and recordings and written text and exams that franchisees will take. And in those first 4 weeks, we teach them everything they need to know about the business, estimating, everything like that. Then the next 4 weeks, they're out in their community developing relationships and estimating jobs. And we've taught them now at that point how to sell jobs. And we also have outbound lead generation for franchisees for commercial. So they'll do outbound lead gen to commercial customers, generate warm interest, and then bring the franchisees warm leads. And these have resulted in multi-6-figure contracts for franchisees in some cases. Like it's been pretty exciting. And I just utilize the same marketing vendors that our founders had utilized that have helped them go from 30% commercial to 60% commercial in the last 5 years. And so then they go to a 1-week in-person training. And there we're teaching them every element of the truck, how to make sure that the maintenance is handled, how to make sure that these jobs are efficient and profitable, and then some sales training as well. And then I help lead that with the original founder of Rolling Suds. And then they're off and running. And then they have a business coach that they meet with weekly. And my business coaches meet at 5:00 every night and talk about what's going on with their franchisees and how to help them all grow. And so I've got a whole infrastructure. There's 22 people on my team. So I have a full-blown executive team. Everything reports up to the brand president of the company. And I spend my time focusing on whatever the constraint of the business is and then solving for the constraint. And so that's really what it looks like from a franchisee perspective. Within those first 3 to 6 months, they will add their second truck as part of their development schedule to get their second territory open and then kind of scale from there. They'll have about 5 people working for them by the 7th month of business and 2 trucks on the road at least, and then kind of scale from there.
That actually leads into my next question. Is it by the time they hit the ground running, have they added or are they expected to have employees that are working with them and for them? Or is it, I mean, imagine on the fulfillment side, but also on the sales side, or are they kind of like, hey, we're throwing you in the deep end, we're going to guide you, we're going to help you, but you got to go get this biz dev, you got to go make it happen, and then the employees will be there to help you with the fulfillment?
Yeah, so employees, they have to have 2 people working for them prior to going to training that are hired. Those employees, either at least one and sometimes both, will come with them to training. We teach the franchisee how to do the work at training the first couple days. Then we oversee the franchisee teaching their employees how to do the work. So it's a train the trainer model. The franchisee is doing typically the business development in their community right out the gate. It's such a big role that if it's done incorrectly or ineffectively, it decreases it just makes it so that there's not as positive of a trajectory. We can look at how many estimates a franchisee is giving on a monthly basis on the commercial side and get a pretty clear picture of what their business will look like 6 to 12 months later as a result of seeing how many commercial estimates they're giving on a monthly basis. Because a lot of these commercial jobs, they're not booking tomorrow. These are $20,000, $30,000 jobs that are either going to fit into this year's budget or next year's budget. But typically, once we've given that estimate, 6 months later, these jobs are, a certain percent of them are just going to start falling. Now, they're going to have like kind of a general manager type person who will be running that first truck and have a junior technician underneath him or her. The idea is that that person gets promoted off the truck within the first 3 to 6 months, and they hire 3 new people when they launch that next truck. So then there will be 5 people working for them. However, what we're seeing in some markets is franchisees are focusing on night work pretty heavily. So like fast food, gas stations, convenience stores, some parking structures, stuff like that. That has to be done in the evening. And so you could have a full-time day crew and a part-time night crew, and then you're getting more utilization out of that truck.
Wow. Okay. So what does the average revenue look like per truck then?
$422,000 per truck with a 30 to 40% EBITDA. And that is based upon our 2024 franchise disclosure document, and it's based upon our founding location, which is operational less days of the year because it's in Philadelphia and New Jersey. So if it's below 40 degrees, like we can't power wash. We'll be freezing the machines and breaking stuff. So they're only operational about 205 days out of the year. So that truck is doing $422,000 in 205 days.
Wow. And then is there a schedule, or maybe you mentioned this, a schedule where within a certain amount of time, franchisees are expected to add a second, third, however many extra trucks? Okay.
Yep. So our minimum deal size is 2 territories. Most of our franchisees will purchase 3, and some are approved for 4, depending on their business acumen and who they are and what they've accomplished in the past. We have some larger operators who have 6, 7, 8, 9 territories, but they manage $10+ million businesses.
Wow. I was going to say that 2 or 3, you're already a 7-figure business almost right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to build to at least 1 truck per territory. However, like we have a franchisee and he has 1 customer in one of his territories, and that is a full truck. And so the opportunity, because of how large the total addressable market is huge. And the utilization of the trucks largely depends upon the owner and how deep they go and how aggressive they are within their own territories, developing relationships and booking work. The cool thing is it has to happen. Like, it's not a matter of like, do we need to clean this building or do we not? Like, real estate is typically people's most expensive asset, most valuable asset. And to preserve the life of real estate, it has to be cleaned both internally and externally. And we provide that service. So yeah, no, I mean, the opportunities are truly endless because those guys at our founding location, like they work 9 to 5. They're not working nights. Typically, they're not working weekends most of the year, other than like kind of the busy season for residential. And so it just gives, I would say, dependent upon where that franchisee is located and how they utilize the truck, there's more opportunity there.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is,
"Thank you for calling. Please listen to your list of 46 possible service options."
Which is why when you choose USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable. 24/7 online service for claims, access to roadside assistance, and more. All at the touch of a button. Start getting the service you deserve. Get a quote today. Ability to receive a quote depends on membership eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliate, San Antonio, Texas.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. With over 122 million parts, you can make sure your number one ride or die stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Yeah. Well, and with those numbers, the opportunity to break even, it might not be that long before you get there as just looking at it as an investment.
Yeah. I mean, people do different models depending upon how big they want to grow and what capital they're willing to invest. But it's a pretty reasonable payback period as long as you execute on the model and you do the development schedule of the trucks. And if you buy 2 territories, you're adding a second truck 6 months in. If you buy 3 territories, you're adding a third truck 18 months in at the latest. And we've had franchisees come out the gate and within the first month order their second truck.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty awesome. Now, you mentioned a little bit earlier, we were talking about marketing. As a marketing company owner myself, a marketing nerd, I'm always curious. I've worked with a few franchises in the past, and they're all different. At least for me, they all seem very different in how they operate, what they stipulate for their franchisees, what they can, what they can't do. What does it look like at Rolling Suds for your franchisees in terms of marketing? Like, who pays for it? Who handles it? How much leeway does a franchisee have or not? What does that look like?
So we have approved vendors on the marketing side that franchisees are able to use. We have different marketing vendors for different channels: Facebook, Google My Business, pay-per-click, SEO. We have your obvious ones like Thumbtack and Angie's and all that kind of stuff where we've negotiated discounts for franchisees. And then we have marketing plans and we tell franchisees where they should spend their money. Ultimately, it is their decision as to how much they want to invest in marketing other than kind of meeting the bare minimum. However, we do set the expectation with franchisees that marketing is an investment. It's not an expense. So you are investing in these different vendors to see which ones are working best in their own territory. And then figuring out, okay, these 4 have crushed it, even though these other 4 haven't. We're going to divert all resources to go to these 4. And I've worked with these vendors in the past, along with my executive leadership team has, and they've helped us scale hundreds of locations for other brands that had no presence and no understanding, no brand presence in the market. And so we've been able to tap into that. From a commercial standpoint, that you can't do PPC and you can't do it's not going to work the same. So we have outbound email marketing that we do to potential commercial customers. And when they reply, that is a warm lead for franchisees.
Okay. Love it. And then is this where the franchisee, are they paying, so they're working directly with these agencies and this money's coming out of their franchise fee, or is this out of their personal investment into the business?
Yeah. So this is in their personal investment into the business. I think it's very important for your listeners and just people to understand in general that a franchisor is typically not a marketing company. In fact, you don't want the franchisor to be a marketing company. You want the franchisor to be able to hold marketing vendors accountable. One of the benefits that you get from joining a franchise is it's a very different call when I call the owner of a marketing company than it is when a local business owner calls that marketing company. We are a multi six-figure contract or relationship for a marketing vendor. So if I was the marketing company or if I had one internally, I can't hold I can hold my employees accountable, but if they're not doing a good job, I got to either close that division of the company or I got to fire people and hire people. And that's just not my skill set. My skill set is helping franchisees be successful by putting the right systems in place. And marketing is just one of the systems. Coaching is one of the systems. Ongoing support is one of the systems. Community that we build internally and creating those, that's one of the systems. So a franchisor is just a grouping of systems that creates a business as a service to help franchisees get to scale much faster than them doing it on their own. And so a lot of people think, okay, well, if I'm going to pay 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12%, I need to have all the leads taken care of forever. And I don't want to focus on having to generate anything myself. And that's just not the case. We have vendors that they will do that with, and we will hold them accountable and we will negotiate discounts for franchisees on their behalf. But ultimately, marketing is still an expense that a franchisee has. We've just done the legwork on the front end to make it easier for them.
Right. And you said basically it sounds like the range of what the franchisor takes off the top of each location is anywhere from 5 or 6 to 12%. And that, yep. That's justified because you are giving them a business in a box, right? This is ready to roll, pun intended, and it's good to go. There are expenses that you're going to have to pull in, that you're going to have to cover. It is your business, but there's a lot of the legwork that certainly did not need to get done.
Yeah. When you're buying a franchise, you're buying, in our case, 34 years of power washing trial and errors to get to that exact truck that can power wash at that speed, that can hit that height. That's 34 years of time on that side. You're also buying into the time that I've had in the franchise industry and the total of 200 years of combined franchise experience on my board and my executive leadership team. All of that stuff is, again, it's a set of systems that a franchisee gets to buy into that allows them to skip a bunch of steps. So in return for those systems, they pay an upfront fee and an ongoing royalty in order to essentially buy the playbook. You're going to either spend time or money, and time is one thing you can't get back. And during that time, you're going to spend more money trying to figure all this stuff out on your own, trying to build your own website, trying to figure out what the copy should be, trying to figure out what kind of marketing vendors you should hire, trying to figure out who your payroll provider is going to be. All that stuff takes time. And we've already done all that. We've got 38 approved suppliers for insurance and trucks and financing. The whole gambit. And so the franchisees just get to buy in and execute on the model. And and in return for that, they pay for it because it's valuable.
Yeah, it's an incredible way to buy back your time and get that business that you want. It's ready to roll. I think a good way to think about this is maybe franchising turns years into weeks and weeks into days.
It absolutely does, and days into hours.
Yeah, the system is there. It's ready to roll. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap up here, what are some of the pitfalls of franchising? Are there, do you guys have like a ripcord in place if there's a franchise or franchisee that can't really go rogue? I mean, this is probably all taken care of at the onset when you pick the right people, but is there any recourse in situations like that in terms of franchising?
So the pitfalls in franchising, I think franchising gets a bad name in a lot of circles. And I actually think it's justified. And I'll tell you why. Most people who franchise their business are good at whatever their business is. They have no idea how to franchise. And as I said earlier, franchising is a different business. So if I'm a power washer that knows how to build a $2 to $3 million power washing business, and now I want to go into a super capital intensive, completely different industry and learn everything new and basically found a startup, I'm learning now. That franchisor is learning at the same time that the franchisees are learning. And so really, when you look and you analyze a business, a franchise, you need the experience in whatever the service is, in our case, power washing. And you need also experience in franchising because those are two separate businesses. And most don't have the second part of that. We're in a very unique situation where I came to a power washing business and franchised it with experience in franchising in the past. And so that is a lot less risky for a buyer than, oh yeah, I like this wood cleaning business that you have. Like, I think I'll just buy into it. And they have no infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is that franchising is very capital intensive. Franchisees need the most amount of support when they produce the least amount of royalties. So if you scale fast, you have to have a lot of support with very little royalties. And the franchise fees, you make money on the franchise fees, but a lot of it goes back out in the form of commissions or whatever it is. And so you need a lot of money. And most franchisors that I talk to, when they reach out asking if they should do it, the first question I ask is, how much money do you have? And 8 times out of 10, it's less than $100,000. And I'm like, that is not enough. But if you find the right brand that has the right trajectory, that has the right leadership team in place, I don't think there's a quicker path to wealth generation. But you have to find the right brand. Because like I talked to a guy right before this, and he's buying in the Virginia Beach area. And we've added 207 locations in 18 months. So we're on hockey stick level growth. So he gets to buy into a business he knows nothing about and immediately be on hockey stick level growth. He's jumping on a train that's already moving.
Yeah, he skipped the first 20 steps.
First 150 steps. Yeah. You don't have to start from scratch. You're jumping into a train that's already moving.
Yeah.
But you have to have the right person driving the train. And that's so important. And then on the franchisor side, you will always have the bottom 20% of franchisees. Always.
Right.
And probably 10% of them are going to have to exit the system in one way or another at some point. They're going to either need to get bought by existing franchisees. They're going to need to close down. And so as a franchisor, you have to have the stomach for, no matter how good you are, you're going to have be able to watch people not succeed.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. Now, in my mind, it's balanced out by the people who are crushing it and the lives are changed and they're in their community and they built big businesses. But like, there is no way around having the bottom 20% in any brand you start. And those people signed a 10-year contract. It's not like you can just tell them to go away. Like, they invested a lot of money and all their time. And so it is a very difficult business to get right, franchising. It just is. But I'm going to say it again. If you find the right brand, there's not a quicker path to wealth generation.
Right.
For your average person.
Yeah. Makes it one of the most lucrative possibilities for business ownership, but it is imperative that it's done correctly. The research is done and that the relationship developed is the right one between the franchisee and the franchisor.
Yeah. 100%.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to respect your time here, and this has been fantastic. I have one last question for you. in your years of growing this thing and being an entrepreneur, if you could distill it down to one piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs out there, what would it be in terms of hopping into the entrepreneurship game?
Just do it. I see all these people like seeking passive income before they've even learned how to get active income. Like, go all in on building something, build it to be massive, then figure out how to have passive income or diversification. Diversification is a future problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working a job and you're making 150, 200 grand a year, business ownership may not be for you because it's going to probably take some time to get back to 200 grand a year in earnings. You'd be starting a business from scratch. Even if it's a franchise, it's still starting from scratch. I mean, it's faster, but you're still getting something off the ground. But if you want to do it, the only thing you can't get back is time. So every day you waste working for someone else, if the goal is to eventually have a business of your own, find a way to do it. If that means raising capital, if it means getting a loan, if it means bringing in partners, if it means do whatever you got to do to get what you want, but don't wait.
I love it. I think that's a common theme on our show this year is action over everything. Just go do the dang thing. The best slogan ever created in the world was by Nike. Just do it. I love
Just do it.
Just do it. Just go out and freaking do it. All right, Aaron, this has been so cool. I want to make sure that our listeners have the opportunity to connect with you, get in contact, see what you're up to, follow you. If they're interested in possibly being a franchisee at Rolling Suds, what's the best way to do that?
So if anyone's interested in becoming a Rolling Suds franchisee, just go to rollingsudsfranchise.com and then submit, and you'll be in touch with my franchise development team. I put out content daily about franchise ownership and entrepreneurship and stories about what we're doing and what we're learning, both on LinkedIn and Twitter are probably where I'm most active. My Twitter handle's Aaron Harper CEO, AARONHARPER CEO. And then on LinkedIn, if you just Google Aaron Harper Rolling Suds, it'll be the first thing to come up. And I post every day. I put videos out on YouTube and Instagram as well. So you can find me there, Aaron T. Harper on Instagram or the Aaron Harper on YouTube. So I'm everywhere. Once I get in your feed, you'll just see me and we'll just talk franchises all day long, every day.
Yep, you're popping up in my LinkedIn just about every day, but I love it because you bring the noise and the valuable information. It's a lot of fun to follow you. So, folks, you heard it here first. Go follow Aaron Harper on whatever social media platform, Twitter, X, whatever it is, LinkedIn. Get after it. So, Aaron, man, thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. How about that from Aaron Harper? Off the top rope, just bringing the noise about franchising. So cool to be able to chat with him. He's, as we discussed, the largest franchise, the only franchise in power washing across the country. And he's grown it to that level in less than 2 years. It's incredible. And I think there are two major things that stuck out to me. One is the fact that franchising is a completely different business from the actual business that is a franchise. I've met many, many business owners that are like, this is awesome. They're doing great. And they're doing a fantastic thing. They want to franchise it, but they've never franchised before. They have no connections to it. It is a completely different line of work. And also Aaron mentioned at the end, his advice, just go do the thing. I feel like we say this almost every show. Take that action. Go do it. Go do that biz dev. Go get that LLC. Go take action and get your dreams off the ground. Start turning them into reality. We get one shot in this life, and it's so fun to be able to go out and control it as best as we can by taking action. All right, folks, I've got two little requests for you. First request, if you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor, hit the link to share on whatever pod player you're on and send this via text message to your best friend, your family, your coworkers, your colleagues, your business partner, whoever it is. If you think they'll enjoy this episode, I love it if you'd share it with them as well. And number two, guys, I am super excited to announce that here at Millionaire University, we are launching our first flagship foundational program on October 1st. It's called Build My Money Machine. Go check us out at buildmymoneymachine.com. And for our foundational first buyers, first members, you're looking at a 90% discount on getting in on the ground level. Guys, this course is going to be designed for those entrepreneurs who maybe you're stuck in your business. You've been at it a little while and you just can't get to that next level. Or for you aspiring entrepreneurs, if you're just at the very beginning of your journey, This course is for you. We want to help you get into that millionaire mindset, and we want to break down our systems and strategies to get you to that next step in your business. And the Build My Money Machine course is going to help you do that. We're going to have multiple modules. We're going to have live coaching calls. It's going to be fantastic. We want as many of you to hop in as possible so that we can help as many people at the same time. So guys, go and check it out, buildmymoneymachine.com, and grab your 90% discount and be a foundational member of this course. We cannot wait to see you guys in there. And folks, that's it for me today. Brien Gearin signing off. I'm very excited to see you all on the next episode of the Millionaire University podcast. Go out there and crush it, my friends.
Who wants a money machine? On October 1st, 2024, we will be launching the first ever Millionaire University program, teaching you how to build your own seven-figure business.
We don't think of a business as a business per se. We think of it more like a money machine, where every dollar you put in, you get $2, $3, $4 back.
Most successful business owners can identify thousands of business opportunities and execute on any one of them to create a seven-figure business within 3 to 5 years, time and time again.
Truth is, they don't have anything you don't. Trust us, we know. So if they can do it, why not you?
The purpose of the Build My Money Machine program is to empower you to be able to do the same thing. So take advantage of the Millionaire University Founder Special and go to buildmymoneymachine.com now to sign up and get 90% off the regular price. Once again, that's buildmymoneymachine.com. And we'll see you October 1st.